Hey guys, Mark here. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up a 3-byte bracelet setup that we can use for various Turk's head bracelets. You may be wondering why I am showing you a 3-byte version of the setup since we have already covered the 4-byte. The reason is that the 4-byte version is good for making 2-color paracord bracelets because we are basically doubling the number of bytes when we are interweaving, meaning that we basically end up with 8 bytes on the edges of the knot. Now, if we're using 3 colors, we need to reduce the width of the base knot because we're going to interweave it 2 times, which will increase the width of the bracelet. So, if we're using a 2-color one, we're going to end up with 8 bytes, and with the 3-color one, using a 3-byte setup, we're going to end up with a 9-byte bracelet. So the difference in width is not that big. Now for making this bracelet, you're going to need 3 things. One is a dowel rod, about 1/4 inch in diameter, then type 1 paracord, about 2 meters or about 7 feet, as well as a lacing needle. With this ready, we can begin. So you can see my setup here, and I have attached a lacing needle to the other end of my cord. And we're going to start by wrapping around our mandrel. I'm going to wrap around 7 times in my case, which I think is good enough for most bracelets. We're then going to turn back around, going over the first cord that we encounter, so here. Then go under the next one we encounter. Then over, and you can see that the X's line up nicely. This will help you keep your knot neat. And then continue and make another under. We're going to continue in an under-over sequence, so you can basically just look at the X to your right side and see which one you should do. So under, then over, and you can see the X's again, then under, over, and so on, continuing towards our left side. I'm going to go over my last cord here. And at that point, we're going to follow our standing end, but going the opposite of what it is doing. So, since it is starting with an over, we're going to start with an under. So under, then over, and under again, and so on, continuing towards our right side. always going the opposite of our standing end. We're going to exit with an under. And we're now going to turn back into the knot, going the opposite of the cord to our left. Since the cord on our left is going over, we're going to start with an under. So under, then the cord to our left is going under 2, so we are going to go over 2. So over 2, then under 2, always looking at the cord to our left and doing the opposite of what it is doing. Basically the sequence is over 2, under 2. On the left side, we're going to exit with an over. So over 1. And at that point, we're going to turn back into the knot. And you can see that we have 2 parallel cords here that we need to split. And we do this by going the opposite of our cords to the left and right. So they start by going under the first cord. So we're going to go over the first cord. So over, then under 2, because the cords to our left and right are going over 2. Then over 2, again looking at the cords to our left and right, and under 2. As you can see, the sequence is again going to be an over 2, under 2. We're going to exit with an under. And we're now at our final pass, entering the knot with an over, and then splitting the cords to our left and right, this time in an over one, under one sequence. So we're going to start with an over, so over one, then under one, then over one, under one. Always look to the cords to your left and right to see that you're weaving your knot properly. The last pass is probably the easiest since it's an over one, under one sequence. We're going to exit with an over, then place our working end next to the standing end, which completes our knot. With this, it is ready for an interweave, which I'm going to cover in future tutorials. So guys, thank you for joining me in this tutorial. I hope it wasn't terribly hard. I know it was a bit long, especially because I've shown you the entire weaving process, but it may help some people. Thank you for joining me, and see you next time.